Speaking of driver's seat, I've got two people with me now who were in driver's seat for a very long time. I think it was something like 10 months in total for a monumental journey because they drove all the way from the North Pole to the South Pole, a distance of round about 30,000 kilometres. And in doing so, they set 2 new Guinness World Records because they crossed 14 countries and 3 continents. And the 2 world records, where are they now? The 2 world records, well, they can tell me, but I just, blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah, here we are. One of them was for the first expedition by an electric car from the magnetic North Pole to the South Pole, and one for the longest journey by an electric car in Antarctica. So I'm delighted that Chris and Julie Ramsey are here with me in the studio. Good afternoon to you both.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thanks for inviting us here.
Chris, you've been on radio before. Julie, your first time.
First time, I'm a newbie.
It's a great spot, isn't it?
Yeah. It's fantastic.
Anyhow, congratulations. A monumental journey. And Chris, it took a lot of time to prepare, didn't it?
Yeah.
Years.
I mean, I was just going to add to the, it's the first expedition by an electric car, but it's actually the first expedition by any car. So no car in history has ever attempted to do pole to pole.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, it's a first for automotive history.
And I suppose the first part of the journey, am I right in saying the first part of the journey is like on a frozen ocean?
Yes, the frozen Arctic Ocean.
Yeah.
So we were traveling across, we got around, about a metre of sea ice. And if people have seen, I think a few people have been beeping us and waving as we've been driving by today. So seeing those big, giant 39-inch BF Goodrich tyres on the car, it's because we ran those tyres about 8 psi of tyre pressure to displace the weight so we can travel across the frozen ocean.
Sorry, is that like very soft or very hard?
Very soft. Very soft. So
Okay.
they're like pancakes, the tyres.
Okay.
Really low tyre pressures.
So that was one of the modifications to the car. And were there any others? It was raised a bit higher, was it?
No. So
No?
interestingly, if you go down to your local Nissan dealer, Letterkenny Nissan dealer, and see the Nissan area there, that car that comes out of that showroom is basically the same as our car with 39-inch tyres. Because all we then did was we put a protection plate on the underside of the car to protect it from the ice and the rocks.
Yeah.
And then hitch points on the front and back to jack the car up for any maintenance. But the battery, the drivetrain, the suspension, the shocks, the springs,
All standard.
everything. So we can say this car is capable of doing way more than what you think it can.
So Julie, the obvious question is, was there much range anxiety?
Well, we've been driving electric vehicles for well over a decade.
Yeah.
So, and then prior to pole, we actually drove a 30 kilowatt hour Nissan Leaf with a range of about 90 miles, which is about 140, 50 kilometres, all the way from London to Mongolia.
Okay.
And we did that back in 2017.
Right.
And a lot of people said back then it wasn't possible. And we did it. So that gave us the grounding, I think, for pole to pole.
Okay. So in theory, you knew it was possible, but then you're chatting about extreme temperatures in both directions, low and high.
Exactly. So we saw low of minus 39 degrees high up in the Canadian Arctic.
Yeah.
And it was cold, bitterly cold. And then on the other extreme, we saw highs of plus 49 degrees in the Arizonian desert in the USA. So we really took this car and tested it in the harshest environments on Earth.
Ironically, I preferred the minus 39 to the plus 49 because that was unbearable for me. I don't cope well in heat. I don't mind the cold.
Whatever about the extremes of temperature, what was the worst part? Was it those extremes or was it something else entirely?
I guess
you? I'll
for
ask
me,
you both.
Yeah, for me, I think it was, although we had, it was 10 months from leaving home in Aberdeen. So it was really about 8.5 months when we set off from the end of this early April into 15th December, finishing at the South Pole. So for me, it was more the fact of we had a lot of time to stop and we wanted to have time to stop and see projects, see people and meet a lot of people and understand their cultures and things. But we didn't get that opportunity because our schedules got changed by other people, outside influences, which meant it just became every day new city, new town. Keep moving.
Okay.
It was a relentless schedule. So that was probably the worst bit for me because it was really didn't get the immersive experience we wanted to.
Just go.
And it's dangerous up there. I mean, we were literally risking our lives, weren't we, driving across the frozen ocean because there's some elements you just do not know how thick the sea ice is. So it was very nerve-wracking driving across the frozen ocean and Yeah, very, very scary. And obviously the weather as well to contend with.
Maybe a silly question, but how did you get to the starting point?
We drove.
Right. Did you?
So-
Was there much of a drive to get to that point
Yeah.
from wherever the car landed, wherever you flew?
So when the car landed, the car was modified by Arctic Trucks, their legendary off-road expedition modifiers. So it was modified in Iceland, taken to Nova Scotia in Canada by boat, and I drove it all the way across to Edmonton. Met up with Julie and the team. We then drove and went all the way up to the magnetic North Pole, 1823 magnetic North Pole, which is, think about the Ice Road Trucker Road that everybody knows
Yes.
about. Take that Ice Road Trucker Road. We just drove off the edge of that, and then another 1900 kilometers of Canadian wilderness with GPS. We just navigated all the way up onto the ocean to our starting point, and they went, right, now we turn around and start.
And then from there, you had not only go across the the frozen Antarctic, but then down through North America, the whole way down
Yeah,
through the United
North,
States.
Central, South America,
Yeah.
and all the way into Antarctica. We say like the polar regions were about
10%.
10% of our whole expedition, and the rest of the 90% is covering North, Central, and South America. So we really have touched all the different types of landscapes on Earth, and whatever landscapes you
think of.
put out there, we've probably touched it and been through it.
Which was worse, the North Pole or the South Pole?
Which is worse.
I think the North, because it was the first time we've been in such environments, and there's a lot of learnings to be had up there.
Yeah, we've never done a polar expedition
Yeah.
before in our lives, so this was our first.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of like everything was fresh, everything was new, and it was just there was a lot of pressures and a lot of things to get acclimatized to. So definitely North, and we took learnings from the North, and
you were able to use them then.
reused
In Antarctica,
them.
yeah.
30,000 kilometres over a period of, whatever number of
Yeah.
months. There must have been times when, you really got on each other's nerves. You know what I'm saying?
I knew where this was going.
Do we really have to have the heat up that high? Please, can we change the station? Things like that.
There was plenty.
There was plenty
there
of
was
those
plenty.
arguments. Talking about heat, somebody didn't let me put the heating on.
Please, no argument.
Yeah, it was up in the Arctic when it was minus 39. When we were just getting the car into those conditions for the first time, I was like, right, we need to understand just how the car performs with those low tire pressures, the thick snow, and traveling off. So at the moment, first few days, we won't use the heating.
Okay.
That didn't go down very well. The entire car froze.
I have to say, it wouldn't go down well with me either.
Julie had a hot water bottle. She put it on her lap, and within about half an hour, that was frozen solid. The entire car was frozen.
Right.
Our satellite receiver for our satellite communications,
Right.
that completely froze. That shut down all our
The
communications
good thing
devices.
is the Nissan EV has a heated front windscreen, so at least we could see out in front
Okay.
of
And I
us.
had a
'cause
heated
if-
front windshield, so I was.
You didn't have to open the
steering
window.
wheel.
That's good. And it was just one car, no support vehicle?
In the Arctic and Antarctica, we had two support vehicles, Arctic trucks. Again, any expedition you have support, but we wouldn't allow the permissions to be there unless we had them as well.
Yeah.
But in the Americas, it was just Julie and I.
in the one
Yeah.
car, which is in Donegal today.
Yes,
Yes.
you're
It's in Letterkenny.
You're in it today, so you're going out to iMotors now after this?
Yeah, we are.
Let them have a look at it.
Yeah, and so if anybody's listening and want to pop down, please do pop down because it's good to chat to people and let them see the car. And that's why we're out now. Is kind of now the car's road legal in the UK, and I think we can get out into Ireland and Europe and just get people to see the car.
And a bit more pressure in the tyres here, is there?
Yes, there is. They're nice and high.
Nice and high, exactly.
And what about the privations along the way? You say you had sport vehicles north and south, but in between it was you on your own, and there was a lot of we're chatting about huge distances here between towns or villages. Is it true that you had an espresso machine?
Of course, it's in the car right now.
Well, you wouldn't.
I mean,
go anywhere without it, would you?
we talked about modifications for the car, and obviously with the practical stuff.
That's
the
actually
tyres and
in the
everything.
area.
Yeah, it's in the car now.
Is
And
it?
Not
and
in
I
one of the
said,
trucks. In the
one of the
car.
modifications I want for the car is a coffee machine.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, "Yeah, all right then."
Chris
So
needs
we
his
put it-
coffee.
Yeah.
He cannot power without his coffee.
Have you talked to Nissan? Maybe they put it in the standard.
I know it's like
I know.
we worked with Nissan quite closely, and it's like saying maybe this is an optional extra for the cars. And Julie, you had your modification as well,
The rooftop tent box. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
just for good measure, because we had a 300-mile range car, which basically with those tires, and then we raised the height up, obviously from the tires, aerodynamics are all off, so we had about 150-mile range. Julie's like, well, I want a rooftop tent, so we put a big windbreak on top of the car as well,
Yes.
just for good measure.
Okay. So certain days you were limited in the amount in the distance that you could travel because of the range. You just had to work with that.
We just had to work with it, and obviously over 18,000 miles, 30,000 kilometres, there's going to be gaps, right, where there's no public infrastructure for charging. So we say during those gaps we had to get creative, and we needed 2 power sources to keep us moving. The first one, if a building can power a light bulb, it can power our car. And the second power source, which is the greatest power of all, we say, is the power of kindness. We receive so much kindness from complete strangers along our route to help us plug in and keep moving.
So you just went up and knocked on doors.
Yeah.
Do you mind if we plug this in?
We plugged in workshops, car garages. Some guys in a garage workshop turned up 7 o'clock in the morning. We were plugged into the inspection ramp, 30 amp socket, sleeping in the front seats of the car.
Wow.
They got a bit of a shock that morning.
Yeah.
Actually, in public toilet in a petrol station.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where there's power.
Where it had to be done.
Yeah. But
okay.
in South America, one of the things of what we do is kind of leave a legacy behind. So the Pole to Pole project, from northern border of Peru down to southern tip of South America, there was no chargers or barely any chargers. So for 6 years bringing this project to life, for that 6 years, I worked with a charging company to develop a charging network all the way down. So generally every 150 miles, or where there wasn't ones, we got creative, but we could put one generally every 150 miles. So there's now a charging network throughout the whole of South America for basically because of our project.
Okay, so that is a legacy.
Yeah. It's kind of been pioneering, and yes, we can go and have an amazing adventure, which obviously we did, but if we don't, for us, it's all about giving back and leaving a purpose for the expedition.
So when you're out in the absolute middle of nowhere, and it's minus 39 or whatever it is in Antarctica, how do you charge a battery, and how does the battery keep that charge?
Yeah, so we to get our permits and licenses to be there, we were told unless you take a generator, you aren't going in. So we were like, fine, that's sensible. So we took a 7 kilowatt petrol generator. But then outside of that, we thought, well, how can we innovate? So we built a 5 kilowatt prototype wind turbine trailer, which we towed up in the Arctic because it's the second windiest place on Earth. So we would then, you pull that.
So you're generating your own power.
When we stopped. You can't do it when you're moving. So, and then in Antarctica, it's 24/7 daylight. So we didn't see the sun go down for a month in Antarctica. It was crazy. So with that, we used foldable solar. That worked in collaboration with the generator to produce energy. So if we got, say, 1.5 kilowatt from our solar, we would get 1.5 less from the generator because it comes from the solar.
So are you both engineers or mechanics or?
We're actually both from Aberdeen in Scotland, and we're both ex-oil and gas industry. That's where we worked prior to this. So you can say we're part of the transition.
We are literally a visual metaphor of the transition.
Yeah. But we're big EV advocates, are we? We've been driving it for all over decades, and we just say, look, if we can take an EV from pole to pole and punish it and test drive it in the harshest environments on Earth, then an EV is more than capable for your everyday needs back at home. And it's just giving people that confidence, and that they're exciting and fun to drive, and they're robust and very durable as well.
Because an interesting fact on there is every spare that we took into the Arctic and Antarctica all came back with us. We had 0 breakdowns on that car.
We had 0 breakdowns. I had one accident.
I broke the car on a rock, but that was like an inner steering rack. There's an inner steering rod, and we got that replaced in minus 35 in about half an hour, 40 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
All the breakdowns, somebody was driving. I'm just saying.
Somebody. We're not
I didn't do us guys any justice, because every bump and dent is mine.
Listen, you made it 30,000 kilometres. Don't start arguing now, for heaven's sake. Okay, well done, guys. Congratulations again. And what's the next event? What now after that? I mean, I don't know. How do you beat that?
Yeah.
Or is there something in the planning?
There's conversations. There's conversations we're thinking about, but we are finishing our book right now, by the way.
Okay.
So that's coming out.
Out of it, right?
Yeah. So it's that's coming out near the end of March, early April.
Fingers crossed.
And that's where we can have a lot of those married conversations detailed in the book and share those with people.
Okay. All right. Okay. In the meantime, the best luck to you. It's a flying visit to Donegal, but you're out at iMotors after this afternoon. Chris and Julie Ramsey, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.